Hey, what's up, guys? This is MugenLord here, and what did I tell you about 2025 in terms of gaming culture and culture and society in general? That we're going to start seeing a shift as the pendulum swings the other way. That we probably going to start seeing the gaming industry heal itself now that many people are getting fed up with a lot of the narrative coming from gaming journalists and also some of the elites within the gaming industry itself. So, what am I talking about here? We already talked about how Helldivers 2 developers were speaking out against DEI when it comes to their games. And now we have another developer. And I told you before, don't be surprised that you will start hearing more Western developers finally coming out speaking against DEI and a lot of these other narratives that's been trying to be enforced within the gaming industry and also be forced upon gamers themselves, even after gamers saying, hey, this is what we don't want in our games. So we have a publisher from the developers of Lords of the Fallen that's also speaking out against DEI and how they also see that it's actually bad to incorporate in their games and that they won't incorporate it in their games, and they see that fans and gamers themselves don't want it, so you will never find it in their games. So I think this is pretty interesting, and I don't think that these publishers and also developers are the last that's going to come out and speak against this. So before we even dive into this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button, that notification bell for more gaming content here on this channel. So now we're going to dive right into it. It comes from PC Gamer. It says Lords of the Fallen publisher embraces fear of the DEI boogeyman, says it will not include any social or political agendas in its games. Now, when you look at the title itself, and I think it's quite interesting, it says Lord of the Fallen publisher embraces fear of the DEI boogeyman, which you already can tell by the stance of this article, who is Andy Chalk, the person who's writing this article. You can already see where his head is at, where he even believes that DEI, he sees the DEI as this boogeyman or whatever like that, which means that this person could probably be for DEI and see that developers who's talking about this and bringing this up is trying to fearmonger people. So let us dive into it. It says CI Games apparently believes that inclusive games are at a high risk of failure. It says Lord of the Fallen publishers CI Games says it would not integrate any social or political agendas into its games because doing so, it claims, incurs a high risk of commercial failure. And we talked about this. What did I tell you guys in 2024? I told you guys that DEI itself, now I know many of you guys saying that, oh, you know, it didn't fully go away, is named something else like Bridge, which we'll cover here on this channel at some point, but we're starting to see more Western developers come out and other developers come out and to speak against this. Now, what did I tell you guys? That DEI itself, anything that has to do with any of the narrative behind diversity, inclusion, and this activism is going to be very toxic. That developers do not want to touch this, and now we're going to start having shareholders actually seeing this themselves and saying, you know what, we don't even want to see this, and we don't even want to invest their money if these games are going to incorporate this stuff in their games, after seeing flop after flop, studio shutdowns at the studio shutdown. And I think, like as I said before, I believe we're about to step into the beginning of the healing period of gaming culture itself. So let's continue. It says the statement was made during a recent investor chat, and this is during an investor chat, guys, during which CI Games was asked about its stance on DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion. You can also check out the video where I talked about that in the whole entire breakdown, what it means. So definitely check that out in gaming. So in response, global marketing director Ryan Hill said the company prioritizes excellent user experiences with compelling thematics and characters created specifically for core and adjacent audience. Yes, I keep telling you guys this, and I said this before. All gamers want is their time respected. They don't want to be preached down to. They want their time respected. All they care about is getting lost in these game worlds. They want to fall in love and get to know these characters on a personal level. That's all gamers want, and it's always been this way. And this company, CI Games, gets it. They get it. And then they rolled into what I called a pretty ill-informed take on the current state of the game industry. What did I tell you about this article already? It's Andy Chalk, or whatever his name is. This guy is I guess you would say a to me, I think he's for DEI. And this guy in this article, as I can tell, is about to slander CI Games for speaking out against this, because you can tell in this article already that he's already going for the gut punch against them by calling them ill-informed, and also by calling DEI the boogeyman. So I quote, while some video games have recently taken the opportunity to embed social or political agendas within their experience, it's clear that many players do not appreciate this, and as a result, we have seen a number of high-profile releases underperforming commercially during the last year alone, Hill said. Exactly. And this is what I kept saying to you guys. I said, when will developers actually see the failure of other games? When will they see the failure of other games due to these political agendas and social agendas in these type of titles, especially more specifically these AAA titles? When will they learn from other mistakes of other developers and say, hey, wait a minute, let's just stop here for a second. How about we not put this stuff in our games after seeing this game right here fail, especially when it's a franchise that like Ubisoft with Assassin's Creed, or Star Wars franchise where we see Star Wars Outlaws. We see so many titles, big titles that came out that had this nonsense and failed. And I said, when will developers actually see this, take notes from this, and say, you know what, let's not go that route? And it appears that CI Games is one of those developers who's looking at the patterns and saying, you know what, how about we not do that? If we thought about doing it, let's not do it. And that's a good thing. Our games will always be developed to maximize player enjoyment and commercial success. And as such, we will not be integrating any social or political agencies into these experiences going forward, having observed the high risk this can present. So yes, like I said before, they were probably considering it if that was going to bring that ESG money in there and all whatever type of investments. They thought, hey, let's look at what these developers are doing. If these social political movements or agendas are put in these games, if they happen to be successful, we'll follow the same route. But after seeing all these failures, they're saying, hell no, let's just continue to do what we've normally been doing by creating games that people enjoy. And that's what they're sticking to their guns. And this is at, as I said, this is at a shareholders meeting. So this is very crucial. This is very important. So let's continue. So he says, Hill didn't explain how exactly he or CI Games define DEI. That's not important. That is not important. And as I said before, we already know what DEI is. Developers know what DEI is. He's already explained that, hey, we've seen how these games has failed and it's not working. So you can tell that this person that's writing this article is for DEI. You can tell right here and right now. So, which has become shorthand slang for things that I don't like among some parts of video game fandom, nor did he offer an example of games that failed due to social or political agendas. Concord and Dustborn are commonly held up as examples of such, but the reality is that these two are literally thousands of games, 19,000 new games on Steam alone. Bro, like, this dude's being disingenuous. We have Unknown 9. And despite what people may think about Zal, we have Concord, we have Dustborn. The list goes on and on. Star Wars Outlaws. We have Star Wars Outlaws. We have so many games that we can list throughout the years that has been failing, that people just do not like, people do not enjoy, and it's been failing. So this guy right here, like I said, he must be a fan of DEI and for the social political agendas that's been pushed. And the thing is, he's asking these questions, but he's not also investigating why gamers or why developers are thinking this way. He's not digging into DEI or digging into why gamers are rejecting this. He's, like I said, they failed to find an audience over the past year. And in the case of Concord in particular, it's arguably just wasn't a great game. We gave it a 45% in our review, and not because we didn't think the game cast was wide enough. Come on. Yes, the game wasn't good. I even said it myself that the game wasn't good. But what added to it was the DEI aspects of it. Because as I said before, when it comes to Concord, If the game was much more appealing and wasn't going for the DEI narrative, more people would still have given it a chance, and maybe to the point where it wouldn't have failed as bad as it did, and maybe it would have had a chance to reboot itself to actually course correct and make it into a better game. But I continue. He did unfortunately lead credence to the ugly and patently false assertion that DEI is ruining gaming by, well, that's not really clear either. So no, it's no false assertion. Like I said, this person right here is an activist. I'm telling you right now, this person that's writing this article is an activist right now. This, like I said, from the title itself, when he called DEI the boogeyman, you already knew what this narrative is going to be and how he was going to approach this article. And that's what's wrong with journalists. These journalists not even bothering to investigate situations like this one, especially when it comes to the culture war aspect of this. So, but that almost doesn't matter, as a hot button buzzword among angry reactional gamers. Yep, this guy's attacking gamers, guys. Reactionary gamers. The DEI boogeyman doesn't need a definition. It just needs to stir up lizard brain emotions on the way to generating views. So he said lizard brain. This dude's insulting gamers. This dude's insulting everything. But like I said before, the fans are the customers. And if you work at any job, the customer is always right, regardless of how you feel about it. And the problem is, when it comes to this journalist right here, you can already tell he's one of those activist journalists when it comes to social and political motives when it comes to gaming in general. Hill's comments stand in sharp contrast to those expressed by another Polish game company, Witcher, and Cyberpunk 2077 developer CD Projekt Red, on its diversity and inclusion page, which does in fact define the studio's approach to DEI in detail. CEO says a diversity of perspective unlocks creativity, increasing innovation. But guess what, guys? He's mentioning CD Projekt Red and their diversity and inclusion. But look at the backlash they have received. People have no faith in The Witcher 4 right now. There's so much controversy surrounding CD Projekt Red with The Witcher 4 and its potential Cyberpunk 2077 sequel. Many people are not hopeful at all. So you even bringing that up as an example of trying to compare and contrast CI games and CD Projekt Red themselves when it comes to diversity and inclusion, just because they have a diversity and inclusion page and lay out the foundation for it, doesn't mean that it's going to be effective. I'm telling you right now, CD Projekt Red has a lot of shit, an uphill battle when it comes to these next couple of titles. But yes, that's the end of the article right here. When it comes to this, we're going to start expecting a lot more developers, especially Western developers, to start coming out, speaking their mind, and saying what they really feel when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is DEI, and all kinds of other social political agendas that's being inserted in these games. And just because this article and this author of this article is saying that, hey, CD Projekt Red has examples of diversity and inclusion and how to innovate and maximize, that does not mean that it's going to work. Because if this journalist was paying attention to the discourse surrounding CD Projekt Red and Witcher 4 and their other upcoming titles, then you already know, then he should already know that this is not going to go well for CD Projekt Red, especially after we starting to see most of the talent has left the company. So I definitely want to hear your thoughts and opinions on this whole entire situation. What do you think about this? Do you think that we're going to start seeing more companies coming out talking about or speaking against DEI? Or do you think that there's going to be more companies doubling down on this? Or do you think it's going to be a split in between where you're going to have companies moving away from it or not implementing it at all? And then you have the other side that's going to just double down on it, which is going to also be interesting because we're going to actually see a social experiment, games that decide not to embrace DEI and see how well they perform compared to games that do embrace DEI and don't perform. It's going to be an interesting case study that I'm looking forward to see, and hopefully this also wake up more developers as more developers start to see, just like CI games themselves are seeing and taking notes of the backlash and the failure that a lot of these DEI implemented games have caused when it comes to some of these AAA titles. So I definitely want to hear your thoughts. If you like the video, hit the like button, subscribe button for more gaming content here on this channel. This is MugenLord signing off. I'll see you game fiends later. Peace out.